Alright, welcome to Just Magic the Gathering. I was at a certain point looking to maybe do my grind, or I was going to pick up on the draft. I really struggled taking out the last 10 cards. And in some ways I'm not terribly happy with, or I'm a little creature shy. I have 11 creatures and 14 non-creatures. And I am running 15 lands, so I am depending, because 13, 13, 14 would be basically split. I am running a little heavy on the lands over anything else, but the real hard part for me was to return some of the cards. Like, I left a straight counter spell on the returned. I ended up returning the Rat King. There were some of these cards that was like, I don't know if this might be the best option. Even going with like the Mind Transfer Protocol, I can take one of my artifacts and basically get a surprise defender that's a 4/5 for 3, and it turns into card draw. I kind of like how some of this could play. But what I ended up with, I'll just cover it real quick. The Fugitive Droid. This creature can't be blocked if an artifact entered the battle under your control this turn. So that is a little bit conditional, and for one, I can sacrifice this creature to target a counter target spell that targets an artifact or creature. So I do have some counter stuff in here. But this can also, if I bring an artifact in, he can't be blocked, I can attack, and I'm guaranteed to be able to proc my sneaks. There are ways that I see that this could actually work well. Sewer Cam Surveillance is, I can play it as a flash, and when it enters or leaves the battlefield, I can tap or untap a target creature. So if they attack, I can untap one of my guys to declare it as a defender when he might have thought it wasn't available, or depending on what they have out, I can force a tap so that I can attack and sneak something in. In fact, I like how that works, and on 4, it can also double. I can sacrifice this artifact, turn into card draw, and I get a tap or untap target creature again. So I like how that looks, or might be able to play. Dream Beavers, for 1, I get a flyer, and then when it enters, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Scry 1. It's a cheap creature, and I also have the 1/1 Death Touch. So there's a few of my things, because I have the Pain 101s that allow me to turn it into, it can die and then come back. So if they have a flyer that they try to defend with, like a 4/5 flyer, I can turn around and get this to trigger twice. Not only does it kill their flyer, but because it gets Death Touch, when it dies, it'll come back, and then they lose 1 life and I gain 1 life and I can scry again. So there's ways I think I can see some of these working nicely together. I did try to lean heavily into mutagen tokens and the creation of mutagen tokens. I don't really have much for perpetual mutagen token generation. And either way, the Crustacean Commando is for 2, you get a 0/3 that comes in with a mutagen token. I ended up keeping 2 of the negates, which just allows me to counter any non-creature spell. So I don't really have much for creature counters other than Death Touch and Revival. So I have my 3 Death Touch Revivals. I have 2 of the Splinters. So for 2, I can get him out as a 1/3, and other ninjas get +1/+1, and he has Menace. Or I can sneak him in for 1. Stomped by the Foot is really one of my only like death kill cards, and I can sacrifice like a mutagen token or another permanent to give something -5, -5, or I could just give it -2, -2. So depending on what's heckling me, that could be nice. Tunnel Rats allows me to play it from my graveyard. So for 2, I can get Tunnel Rats out, and for 5, which is pretty expensive, I can return this from my graveyard to the battlefield. I don't really see that potentially working that great, or it is nice because I don't know what people have for graveyard control. Either way, the Ice Cream Kitty, I kept in here. For 2, I get a 1/3, and that for 2, I can sacrifice a creature or token to draw a card. So I tried to put in a bunch of card draw. So if I create a mutagen token, I can sacrifice that mutagen token for card draw for 2. And I get the counter out of it, because when the sacrifice this token, I'm pretty sure I get the 1/1 out of it too. I don't know. I'll be kind of curious to see how that works. Or for 2, I can sacrifice this creature to gain 3 life. So once again, this deck is almost reactionary. I could declare it as a defender to keep something coming through, and then sacrifice it if we're going to die anyways to gain life. Need to have mana available to do stuff. I ended up with 2 of the Donatello's techniques, so for 3 I can just draw 2 cards, which is pretty huge. But with that being said, I can sneak it in for 1. So something like the Fugitive Droid allows me for 2 to be able to get 2 cards. I don't know. Mind Transfer Protocol, I did keep one of these. It allows me to transfer one of my mutagen tokens into a 4/5 creature and card draw. Since it is dependent on having the mutagen tokens, I don't know. The Retro Mutation is one of the few disabling cards I have that it doesn't matter what their powers are. I can turn it into a 0/1 that has no abilities. But that also can be problematic because it can, it still can attack, and then if I don't defend it, they can sneak it out, or there's ways they can control that. Either way. Ooze Spill, I get a counter target spell, and I get a mutagen token out of it. Shredder's Revenge is either card draw for me at the cost of 2 life, or make them discard 2 cards, which could be handy. Donatello's technique is whenever Donatello enters, if I control an artifact, I get to draw a card. Return to the Sewers allows me to slow them down by returning one of their cards, and I get a mutagen token out of it. So I'm a little shy on mutagen token generation, but I do like how it looks. And then the Foot Mystic is a lifelink 2/4 for 4 that if I sacrificed a mutagen token, or going back to if I snuck something in, a card left the battlefield, which now means that when this comes in, it can come in with the ninja. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with where I ended up. I'm maybe a little creature shy, but I have a fair amount of card draw. I did have one of the turtle layers, and I was kind of wondering, because there's a few of these that I can be like a flex card for, and then I ended up with the 7 islands, 7 swamps. I only have the 1 card that costs 2 blue mana. Everything else is just the 1 and either colorless. But it did take some work to slim down, and I'm in a way happy to see how it holds up. Or after my last bust out, I'm a little leery on even trying to get my hopes up. Celefior, the Mighty. So I need to get into some mana. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but I can get it out early. And he was an artifact. Blue. Nice. Good game. So if I play my artifact Kitty, my Fugitive Droid can't be blocked. I'm assuming he's looking to do a artifact as well. Sewer Surveillance. Tap me out. Gain 1 life. I have the 2 pain 101s, and that doesn't really do me a lot of good. Let's see what he does. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. And it comes in with haste. So nothing I can really do about that. And even if I get more mana up, what was the artifact that he went for? The surveillance. I don't... He can tap me out. I was wondering if I just play reactionary. No attacks. End turn. I'm assuming he's looking to tap me out here before he pushes. I'm curious. I don't... Without being able to get into mana, I have a lot of options here. So he controls an artifact and gets to draw a card. Has a 3/4. Until end of your turn, target artifact becomes a creature with base power and toughness of 4. At this point I can do the retro mutation. There's a couple options I have. I'm assuming he's not going to name a defender. So, Pain 101. I was questioning here what I wanted to do for, like, he can tap me out and sacrifice the card for the draw. Target puts it on their choice to the top or bottom of the token. I probably should not have gone with the top. It's gonna +1 it and get the 2 damage through. At this point I'm just gonna do the retro mutation. He's tapped out. And depending on what he does here, Buzzbots. For 4, he can sacrifice for the draw and tap me out again. Oh, or you can just play another Surveillance Cam. So that's 4 more damage down. What I need at this point is another mana, so I can get Donatello up. I don't know. The Mind Transfer Protocol will allow it to turn into card draw. Until end of turn, target artifact, and I can play it as an instant. I'm assuming he's actually just going to take the damage and not declare blockers. So I can give it Death Touch or make it big. I think I'm going to give it Death Touch. It will allow him to get card draw. So, in a way, it's just card draw. You may tap or untap. Here's where I wish I did have the land. I'm wondering maybe if I should take out like 2 instances and add in like 2 more lands and run 17 lands. He has another Buzzbots. What do I want to do here? At this point I'm assuming he is going to block again. So I can sneak him in for the sneak cost. And that was not, I guess, what I was looking to do. Good game. In fact, he just had to attack. He had 4 damage out, and I'm tapped out. I thought that was going to get +1/+1, but it was the non-ninja I returned. I left the robot out to die. And, yeah. I was planning on being able to play the kitty, and I didn't have the right colors to be able to play the kitty. Or I'd almost have to look back at how I failed that so poorly. The ooze spell counter. I don't have any creatures I can play cheap. That's not good in that I need blue that I don't have. Alright. Return high and return one of my shredders. That's still not good, or... yeah, no bueno. But moving on. I probably should have taken a moment to look at my lands between matches. Green or black? They are playing red. Let's see if they have damage or red-black. So whenever you attack, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. And see, here... I don't know why I wasn't able to sneak that in, or he should have given my other one the +1/+1. And I probably should have just played that there. Squirrel mutant. So that didn't give my death touch one. I would have been better off to play my Splinter on round 2 or whatever, the Foot Mystic. Yeah, without getting card draw up, I am actually feeling a little bad here. There's not a lot I can do. Mouser. So this only gives it to other ninjas, and this is a mutant. I can just go straight for the card draw without doing the sneak cost. And now I can do... I don't know. If I was entertaining, I can do the stomp by the foot and sacrifice my kitty. I don't like really that option. I can do the sacrifice with the non-2. I don't really have a lot, or I wouldn't mind this being a little bit faster. Going back to, he has a whole grip of cards and I have nothing. This is probably his game. Bebop. That has Menace. And the 2/4... the 5/4 is actually probably what I want to take off the board. Just trying to figure out actually what I wanted to do there. Getting his lifelink off the board isn't a bad option. Here when he pushes with... oh! It has Menace, so I can't block it. And here's what he was waiting for. Rock Sliders. And he can discard a card and draw a card. So Splinter, if a ninja... the ability of a ninja creature triggers an additional time. Why was it saying I could do this? For 3, target ninja can't be blocked. Not a lot of options here. So the 2-4. He's just going to hit me for another 5, or I'm pretty sure this is his game. There's not much I can do. We're going back to, he has way more than life than I do. So he can mill. I had the option of pulling that, and I did not. I'm just at a certain point waiting. He's going to push with this 5-4 that I can't defend. And he very much gets to curtail his cards. And I'm pretty sure next round there's nothing I can do about that. In fact, unless I get into some card draw or control, there's very little in my deck that'll save me. Whenever another creature enters. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Does 2 damage to each opponent. I don't know. Going back to, other than just playing a final blue card, this is his game. Deals 1 damage. And there it is. So, yeah. I probably should have played my instant. But on the note of a bit of a boo, it's definitely not holding up well. But with that, it sounds like I finished one of my dailies and I'm good for a break anyways. Because yeah, with that, look forward to doing some Magic in the future.